we're going to the weeds about paint itself and mixing. We'll do a bit, well, no, we're going to do quite a bit on composition. What makes something look good and what makes something not so good. And how you can do it in simple ways, because if anybody ever read books on composition or seen anything, they're nuts, actually, some of them, with the math to it, if you want to put it to it, is just bizarre. And I don't care about Fibonacci and all the golden ratio and all that sort of stuff, because it alone takes you down a rabbit hole. But there is an absolutely simple way of doing composition that you can't go wrong, and Vermeer used it, Rubens, it's in every one of his paintings, and he's got a whole room to himself in the Louvre, by the way, because they loved him. Plus he's French, so it doesn't hurt. Anyway, can you see the angle from this? This is the simplest thing you're going to do ever in art from composition's point of view. But first, I don't know if I've drawn this for anybody yet here. I always draw a terrible little duck too. That's and ta-da! You would be surprised in a framing shop how many things we see that have this kind of lack of composition in it. It's telling anybody that looks at it to do this. Go see the next painting, or go back where you came from, because the other one's better too. It does nothing to keep your eye in the painting. This, if I do, and I've got the draw, I'll have to bring it out. I've got it, it's a Rubens drawing, and it's trees. So all it is trees with branches, and they go up. Like so, if you create a diamond, and there's a million paintings with this in here, if I draw a scene here, which is kind of that little scene that we're drawing right there, and I'm going to put a tree over. I'll make this better. I'm going to draw a little tree here, and I'm pointing it out this direction. The sky is super easy. Make your clouds go this way, and on the other side, make your clouds go that way. All I'm doing now is making you, very messy drawing, I know that. And I will go find the pictures that I have of Rubens. Every one of them puts a diamond in there. Once you have that, your eye, it doesn't have to be as blatant as this tree going over here. I could have a rock here, and a little bush up here, and maybe a little bit of, I know, grain elevator up here. What the heck? Consider that something or other. But it takes your eye to this point. It doesn't have to be in exactly a straight line. If this little tree is over here but pointing over so, my eye can zigzag over to it too. You don't want to put it way off to the side, but you keep it in the plane, and you'd be surprised how that keeps everything. The painting over there, if you see, I'll show it the curve in here too, where the little diamond in here, it goes from here up to there. That little guy is on purpose to there, and then what you do is you follow little dark lines through here. It's a little weak on that side, I'll agree. I could have done a little better. And then you can follow through any one of the leaves that are going down this way. It'll keep you in a diamond. That's one of a really old painting of mine, so if it's a little weak on that side, nah.
That's a terrible painting.
From that point of view, yeah, maybe. Give me a break. But I do know where there's a little problem with it. There's I'll show one that comes next, but don't get carried away. This is why the world gets all bent out of shape on composition, because this is what people like to show in books. And I'm not gonna even go with the. And if you do this, you're taking all the fun out of art. Yeah, in this, it does have a place, but it has a place the more you get to know, and this is why don't get serious about this until you start drawing multi-level paintings with more than a couple of 20 objects for subject matter in there, that type of thing. A battle scene will be something of this nature, because where the lines intersect the most, and if I'd have drawn it right, they all intersect right here, here, here. And so you would have major things on those spots. Ta-da. Does this look confusing and a pain in the ass? It is. Should you worry about it? As you get more and more involved in art and you find something that's truly worth the effort to take the time to design, the Impressionists, the masters, anybody 100 years ago would know what this is all about, because they spent hours and hours and hours developing paintings. Anybody had the fun of the Raft of the Medusa, by the way? Oh, it's my favorite painting. It's in the Louvre. It's 23 feet by 27 feet. It's a monster. Jericho went nuts drawing it. There are hundreds of drawings, and he's got this, he's got the diamond, he's got a million different things in there, and there's bodies falling all over place, sharks trying to eat people, and a little ship in the distance sailing away, because that was a very bad thing that they did, because they should have picked up the sailors that were floundering in the sea. Anyway, history lesson in art. But this is usable by anybody once you understand what it does and why it does it. But I just wanted to show it, because if you started where this, and years ago, nobody taught me this thing. They all showed this. And there's books and books and books on it, and they take all the fun out of art. So, Violet, take all the fun out of art at your own leisure. If you have that in it, you've got everything that anybody that a master ever did. And this is the last of that. Other one is, you guys, anybody seen this one? With the Fibonacci. Comes in handy. If I'd have drawn it this way, Leonardo used it in the Mona Lisa, and blah, 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 and everybody goes, oh, it ends up right in the face. Big deal. Or the other thing here is, people do it this way, and they say you spiral into the picture, and the road would be here, and there's the... it has its mathy thing, because here's our brains in action. This is approximately 1/3 of the picture, and our brains like 1/3. They like the Fibonacci numbers and the world of 2/3, half, 7/8, numbers like that mean something in art. You'll see it in the again, if you get really wacky with art, you can apply it to millions of paintings, and they all, the ones that really look good, they all stand out. And this is a natural to it. So we're done with composition, because I could spend hours on this, and I know I've only got 5 more minutes before everybody goes clunk. I do know that. Anyway, in our little thing we're going to do today, which we're going to go on to color, much more fun color. Bichromatics today. Ho ho. And anybody know about the color wheel, or to any degree? Like it, love it, hate it, need it? Indifferent? I'm indifferent to it. It doesn't work for some things in watercolor, because when you glaze a color, we're going to do a little experiment. You can take yellow and red, and we'll do this in a few minutes. You put a piece of yellow down, you'll put a little bit of red down. Then you can let it dry. You can put the opposite color over them, and you'll get a totally different effect. Yellow over red, red over yellow. Makes perfect sense that way with a glaze. When you mix them together, oh no, it's a different color again. Oh crap, this just makes watercolor even more confusing, because if you were looking to glaze something and ended up mixing it, we've got to do a little bit of work to fix it up. And this is where we're going to go into the reasons of why red, or this yellow and that red, it won't make an orange, by the way. Oh, did you think you could make one of this? Haha, you'd have been one of the fun people that comes into the store, and I love to bet. Because they want to buy cadmium yellow, which is very close to Hansa yellow, and they want to buy cadmium red, which medium would be very close to scarlet. And they say, we don't need cadmium orange because I'll just mix the two together. And I say, I'll bet you all the money that you've got in your pockets right now that you can. If you can do that, I'll double your money on you. In fact, I'll give you the paint for free too. You can't do it. Oh, but now you want to know why, don't you? Okay, here's where color comes in. And in the world of color, there is a second color to every color. This, of course, gave red. This is an orange shaded red. Second color being really important. Once a person figures this out, you've got color figured. It's how you can determine you're going to make a dark pair of colors or you're going to make a bright light pair of colors. Or you could come in between two depending on how you mix. But the second color in this yellow is green. Interesting. So, if I've got the second color, you know how you take four colors together, and what do you get the more colors you mix? Mud. You're essentially getting the same two when you mix spectrally. If I put this under a spectrograph, I can see the second color and it will show the orange. And you go, hey, how about that? Same with this. I can see the green in here. You won't be damned, it's in here. And it's a fairly big chunk of it too. If you take a spectrograph, the yellow will go like this, the green will go like this, and the others, there's two or three other little stripes, and they don't mean much because they take up hardly any of their spectrum. But the second color, if I have, damn it, hang on one sec. Alrighty, we're going to do it with blue because it's the easiest of the ones to do. You probably did this already. A green shaded blue. Ta-da! Cobalt aquamarine. Its second color is green. This little guy, Hansa yellow, second color, green. When I mix these together, because the second colors are both green, it's like mixing only 3 colors instead of 4. This will be a sharp, rich, clear, bright green. Usable in the trees, in the upper parts of a tree, or the sunny side of a tree. Lots of places you need it. And where people don't know, when you don't know this, you just pick 2 greens and hope for the best and hope one shade's going to be dark for the dark side of the tree. And then you put some other dark color in there, oops, it gets muddy. But here, we need a dark side of the tree. Ultramarine blue, and the more you get to know it, you can just look at these two and go, betcha they don't make a bright green. This is a violet shaded blue. You're going to add violet and blue, yellow and green. You're going to get a really dark, murky green. Perfect color for the dark side of the tree. It'd be me trying to make your sweater or your I could come close with this. Not in a million years will I get that on that. So there's the combinations of this are as many colors as there are colors. It is go grab 2 other colors off of there and compare their second colors. They will either balance and come together, creating a bright color, and it requires lots of looking and learning, by the way, because it's just not that natural to do. And I will tell you right now, violets bother me to this day. I can still never figure out which violet is orange shaded or which goes the other direction to the blues or violets. I'm just lost on violet. I can figure it out, but greens, reds, blues, they're natural to me and I can find it very easily. Any questions on this? Is it bizarre? You must have a million questions.
Well, I was just thinking if you had a limited palette, so you only had two, how would you darken, like take, just the mixture that you have, how do you get to the dark shade?
That almost seems like a question that I fed to you before, because we're only gonna work with two colors today, and how are you gonna do that? The way you would do this is by the amount of one color mixed into the other, because we're gonna use burnt sienna and ultramarine blue, and we're gonna create a beautiful bichromatic painting by using these two colors. How do we make the pair of them darker? It's the ratio of color you can put into them, plus the lightness or the darkness of the amount. We're gonna play tonally with that. That's what you would do when you have a pair of colors. You start to just play tonally with it and decide to, this is 90% burnt sienna, 10% probably ultramarine blue. And if I do ratios of 50-50, I get different looks. 90-20 or 10 the other way, higher and lower keys of blue to almost black if you get just the right mixture of these two colors in there. So there's ways to do things tonally, there's ways to do things with color to get the brights, and you just have to, and the ways to combine tones and color together to get the look you want. Did this just look complicated? Way to make it complicated. But if you don't know color, this is the only way to start, is at the beginning. And hearing this, because there's people that come in the store, and I know they painted for years and they don't know about, they still don't mix color well, or they have trouble. We get probably every day somebody writes something to Stone Ground saying, and it's usually to do with flesh tones and skin tones. How do I create a skin tone? It's the hardest question to answer, because you can do it with 2 colors, or I can do it with 9 colors. It depends. Quin magenta and New Gamboge, by the way, there's your skin tone. Easiest peasiest, no problem ever. I want to get complicated, there's greens, there's reds, there's violets, there's yellows, there's blues, there's every color in skin. So the question is impossible to answer to somebody I don't know. But I just gave you the easy answer. I love the easy answer, it works the best. We also get questions as to why is ultramarine and pozzioli not the same, because not the same as pozzioli is a redder, orangier color than burnt sienna. Why does it not get the same colors? Because it's a totally different pigment for one, and they are one much redder than the other. This is much browner. So it's amazing the questions we get, because people see color differently, and everybody sees it differently, by the way. Me and my cataracts see it way different now than I used to see it, I'm sure, but we'll deal with that later. Questions about these, glazing them? And I'll show you.
What does glazing mean?
Glazing is when you have a layer that is dry, and putting another sweep of a brush over topping it and letting it dry, that's a glaze. And you can put a layer over a layer over a layer until you get to the 15th, 20th, 30th layers. And in watercolor, you get 2 strokes. And after that, it will be a mix, because everything will muddle together. Nobody's ever perfect on this, by the way. You will never be able to do a painting without what you thought was going to be a glaze will turn to be a mix. You just sort of deal with it, let it dry, try it again, or like the results and go, okay. Or take a paper towel, wipe it off, and see where you end up the second time. But paper towel's your friend, let me tell you, some days. But a glaze is out of the 3 weeks we're here, there's a million techniques, because it drives me nuts too that I can't, well, I could show you, but then I'd have to kill you. But so, where'd that come from? Anyway, as it was the techniques that you need to know, the most important pair of them is a wash, and being able to get it down and put another wash over top of a wash, and being able to glaze, and that's put the layer over the layer over the layer to get successively darker and to lighter to actual white, which is kind of what you're going to do in here, which is taking in everything that you did last week and instead of doing, that's why another, I don't know why we put out 6 colors. Well, that'll be for next week, because we can't have more fun. Or maybe today, even though we maybe get to there. These 2 colors, they make a beautiful bichromatic. They're really pretty together. They look like old antique photos, is what the end result should look like. And dealing with 2 colors is painful enough. Dealing with 4 colors it's like herding cats. More and more colors just become more and more things to go wrong. And that begs the question is, how many colors should be in a painting? Well, as many as you need, but the fewer the better. If 5 or 6 is generally a lot of color. You see ones, and depending on the person, there are neat paintings with a ton of color. But the fewer colors that are in a painting, the more cohesive the painting looks and the more the eye says, cool. Because you're gonna see a photo that you'll wanna recreate, and the photo will have a million colors into it. Lose some of it because what a photo looks like and what a painting looks like, our eyes know the difference, and they would prefer the painting with 4 or 5 colors than the photo with 25 colors in there. So that being said, I think I have dealt enough in this, and you guys want to, I'm sure, start to paint and do something much more creative than just watch. So, why these 2 colors, by the way? What's the attraction to this and this? Because they make a really nice, deep, dark, almost black. Because this is a violet shaded brown, or sorry, this is a red shaded brown, and this is a violet shaded blue. This is what's going to happen when we put the colors together. And I will build if I take this little guy here, and then where's the color you get? I can get it a little darker. Almost black. Never be a black. Oh, and if somebody tells you don't use black in watercolor or oils or anything else, roll your eyes and ask them if they've ever seen a Rembrandt. He uses a ton of black. So did Caravaggio and all the other those guys. So did John Singer Sargent. But black's a useful, wonderful color in the right place. But there's the colors you should get today when you play around and do. And how are we going to start this little guy? It is the simplest little drawing. I will draw this will be the difference between the 2 pictures. One line across about 1/3 of the way down, and one sweeping line to be your snow in here. That part should be easy, right? Will be easy. The painting itself, we're going to control it. We are going to paint just up to this line first. Russ was supposed to set me up with the TV today, but he got busy and didn't get a chance. So I was going to do it and be able to look down and everybody see it. That didn't work out today, sorry. Maybe next, he's not even here next week, so sorry ladies. So anyhow, this is going to be, and think of the question you asked, because this is how this will do light and dark and everything in between. The line I'm going to put across the top here, and since it's wet, blend it out. If I want, and this I do want, because, and the amount of brown I'm taking in this first little bit is just this tweak, the littlest little bit on there. Because skies are not blue, really. There's other colors than blue. So I could put in this little.
How much water are you using when you're mixing these?
When I'm doing this, right in like that. But when I'm putting a wash of color on, it is as much as this can hold, I am throwing on. For a wash like this, I want it soaking wet, and I want it to stay wet for a few minutes too. P.S. The wetter you get the paper, the longer it takes to dry. In fact, you can get one of these papers so wet that it takes a day for it to dry. Not the idea of fun. I don't paint that way, but I do know a couple people that get really, by the time they're done, the paper takes a day to dry. But there it is, soaking wet, hopefully with the glisten on it. Now I come in, I missed a little spot. That might come in handy, but I don't want it like that. If I need it wetter, especially at this level, I throw more paint, I throw more water up to it, and then I push and pull paint as I like. And because I stopped it right here, ta-da! Easy, I can just sit there and go, coffee break, or whatever I'd like. If you want to put a cloud in here, let's have fun and put a cloud in here. Voila! This is the best part of a watercolor. Oh, not, actually, you look bad. I consider it upside down. There. If I want to do some more with it and do a little more, a cloud, I can also, a small one, use a brush. Create another little wispy cloud off there with the brush. They will work too, as long as the brush is cleaned right off. That's why the old, people like paper towels and paint with one hand. I gotta go like this, and then I know how wet the brush feels. And if there was still water in here, I'd probably go and give it a second wipe, and then if I want to pull more water or more paint off, there it's ready to go. Question being next, could I put another layer onto here? Oh God, yes, please do. The more layers, the thinner the glazes, the more the layers, the more a watercolor's sky looks translucent and miles deep. Single layers, they look fine. There's nothing wrong with them, but there's a little trick to doing this. I'm going to do it right on this one, and then I'm going to screw it up on this one for the fun of it. And it's not necessarily a screw up, but it will cause you more headaches in the long, unless you're wanting to do a bloom on there. So it's close enough to dry. It's a wet brush on just a slightly damp piece of paper. So now, what I'm going to have to do, and I want to keep a wet edge. Cloud again though, put the cloud back. Different type of cloud. The cloud will be a little more diffuse, and in the background now it'll be more like high cloud because I've already got a blue layer on there. And, oh, this goes to the staining, non-staining, granular colors. Ultramarine blue is a staining color. So I can get away with pulling some color off, but I won't be able to, and I can get in there and grind away. I'll be able to get a little more. Oh, and I did. You got to work at it harder. If I used a color that this is a granular color, I can pull most of it out, or a good chunk of it out. So now here's the other side, almost not quite dry. I'm going to do wet on wet back into it, and we'll see if it'll, and throw another layer. Ah, it didn't bloom. It was dry enough. What'll happen if you come back at the wrong time and put another layer over top of it, you're going to get that poof, the bloom, and there you go. They're kind of fun in the right places and they're a pain in the ass in the wrong places. I don't care for them in skies. I don't mind them happening down in here. But this is what you get, and it's still not wrong. Rainy day, rainy sky, have some fun with it. Sometimes you have to, well, let's throw a little bit of color into it. Rain cloud. Well, a little bit of a rainy day. So you can play games with it until you're happy with the sky. Watercolor people say, oh, there, you know, you can't mess around, you can't, oh, it's gonna fall apart on you. Nah, you've got all kinds of playing time on here, and the paper towel's your friend because I can even wisp and dry it like so. Ta-da. Don't be afraid. Fear nothing on this. It's a sky. The time people go and get worried about it is they see a sky they like and it would be more about the skies that are evening skies where there's the pinks and the reds and the violets and everything, and you try and recreate what nature is presenting you at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night. They take hours to do, they take many, many layers, and they're not going to look exactly like the sky you ever saw in the west at 9 o'clock at night. But you can come really damn close. But to try and recreate it exactly, you'll never get the brush strokes in there. Don't even try. But have fun with just seeing the sky as a sky and paint it to represent what it actually is. Just a little atmosphere of the desires you had to paint in the moment. So can you come back and do this now as it dries? Or you darken it up. When this dries, oh, this one's dry, another layer. I can put another layer up here. It is really dry. And I'll just go with an all, this is all mostly burnt sienna. And I'm going to leave this, you see that little spot there? To me that's $1 million. That's a cloud in the background that I couldn't put there twice. I can't do that twice. I just recognized that it happened. And this is on dry paper now with a wet brush. Let things like this happen because they create depth in a sky. There's nothing better than having the happy little accidents which you will start to recognize, and nobody keeps them all. Every now and then just a hand goes back over, you go, oh shit, that was a nice little spot. Maybe I'll get another one. There's another little guy there. There's a bigger one there, and this side turned out pretty cool too. But it's much more natural to have a sky looking like this than all blue, and it's amazing how many come in that they're watercolorists, oil painters, acrylicists, and the skies are cobalt aquamarine, ultramarine blue, and cobalt blue. Ta-da! And they look okay, but they're missing something each and every time. So today, we start with the sky, have some fun, and then go from there and be aware of how much of the burnt sienna. By the way, I stole these out of the back today. These are all brand new. They'll be looking tomorrow or the next day for a bunch of these, and there are 10 missing now. Jenny's not going to be happy. Anyway, deep breath, big smile. Remember, it's a first world problem. It's a little bit of paint and a little bit of paper.